Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is your man, Sam Hay, and you are listening to the Mindset Rebooted podcast. We're just going to go straight into it. No pleasantries. Drive the bus or get ran over. I know I came off aggressive. And I know oftentimes when we think of someone driving a bus, it seems aggressive. It seems like you're a commander, you're in control and all those different things. But the message today is that we should be driving the bus for our life in general. That simply means having a sense of control, right? And that means controlling what you can control, accepting what you can't control, but still having plans in place and taking action as necessary so that you can influence situations to work in your favor. Now, that doesn't mean to be all evil and decrepit, right? It's not meant to be, hey, let's manipulate everyone and just have our evil way. No, it just means that in life we have a lot of things happening and certain things are our priority and it's not everyone else's priority. We talked about this before, that not everyone is going to take care of you the way you are going to take care of yourself. So you need to be in charge. You need to be able to drive the bus no matter what level you're at, whether you're the commander or whether you're the private, whether you're the CEO or whether you're just the employee. It doesn't matter whether you're the spiritual leader of your family or whether you're just the one who's following and learning. But in either case, no matter where you are at, we all need to take full responsibility, accountability for our lives, accountability for our actions so that we can be the best versions of ourselves, as we talk about all the time on this podcast. So, for example, when I was in the Navy, I had leadership above me, obviously, but I also was in positions of leadership. And so I had the ability to influence certain things at my level. Didn't mean that I could just do anything all willy-nilly, but it did mean that I had some type of a say-so. But even when I didn't have some type of a say-so, I still made sure I did what I could do. So let's start out when I was at the lowest levels. When I came in as, let's start with basic training. When I came in as an E1, for an example, I knew that my priority was to establish my name, to rank up as quick as possible, because I saw what the standard waiting time was to advance, but that wasn't my objective. My objective was like, hey, you know what? I'm coming in a little bit more senior in terms of life experience. I came in at 21 versus other people who usually come in at like 17 or 18. I knew that I wanted to make way more money quickly so that I could take care of certain things, and I just wanted to continue to grow. And so that meant that I needed to be sharp. It meant that I needed to advance. And so what did I do? I learned the different ways to advance. And when I went into basic training, one thing that I knew I could do to advance quickly, to go from E1 to E2 in like weeks instead of waiting 9 months to do so, what I did was I had to pass my first physical fitness exam and pass a test for this thing called DEP, Delayed Entry Program, right? If I passed that test, that DEP test when I was in basic training, I don't know if this is still a thing now because I've been out of the Navy for a while, but if I had passed that exam, then, and I passed the first physical fitness assessment, that was gonna automatically move me up from E1 to E2. So what did I do? I drove the bus. I made sure that while other people didn't necessarily care, they were just going with the flow. I was like, no, I'm not gonna just go with the flow. This is important to me. I understood my priorities, and so I did what I had to do, and it resulted in me moving from E1 to E2. At the same time, while I was in the delayed entry program waiting to go into basic training, I knew that if I knew all of those things in that booklet, that I would be able to be sharp and be confident when I responded to all of the people above me whenever they asked questions or they needed us to recite some type of knowledge. I knew that going in. And so because I memorized things and I was confident in what I knew, I was essentially building up my competence, which built up my confidence. I then was able to be super sharp, super witty, super on point, very, very strategic, very, very disciplined. And that resulted in me standing out to the point where they made me the recruit chief petty officer of my division. And then I advanced at the end of basic training from E2 to E3 off of that. Now, what's the point of this story? Well, it could have took me 18 months to go from E1 to E3. But I was able to cut that time way down by taking control of what I had control of. I didn't have control of everybody else. I just knew what the process was to do what I needed to do, and I played the game correctly, and I did my part. That is what driving the bus consists of. It consists of you doing your part, taking advantage of every opportunity that will benefit you, your family, and anything that is a priority to you. That is what it's all about. When I was in the Navy and I was a first class petty officer, I remember when I was in Bahrain, I was the leading petty officer of my department, of the logs and records department. I was in aviation. And I remember we were prepping for so long for this 3-year, it was not a 3-year inspection, but it's an inspection that comes around every 3 years. It's called the Aviation Maintenance Inspection. It's the biggest inspection you can have in naval aviation. And I knew that it was a big deal. And so what I also knew was that the inspector, when they came in, they would be inspecting process. They would be inspecting, seeing how we flow with things. Are we in compliance? And then if things were a shipwreck, I knew that they would dig deep and try to go back into the history, into the archives to see if this has been an ongoing trend of us being jacked up. So although I could not control the inspector, although I could not control everything that we had going on that was hindering us, what I could control was our cleanliness, how we presented our programs, making sure that we took care of the basics, making sure that we had an answer for anything that wasn't in compliance, right? And so that consisted of me reaching out to certain people via email for help, documenting those different things, putting in tickets where tickets needed to be entered, having all that documentation, having it organized in a nice, pretty binder, having the binders organized all nicely, having my team already prepped and ready with certain answers and understanding different processes and procedures. And a lot of it really was just housekeeping. It was really just making sure that when an inspector walked in, it smelled good, it looked good, everything was organized, because that in and of itself is a psychological thing. When people see things organized, when they see things clean, when they see things are presentable, they tend to be more receptive to what you say, and it declutters their mind. They don't come in just like, oh, you know what, this is already a crap show. I know that everything else is gonna be messed up, so we're gonna dig deep. Nah, that's not what they're gonna do. They're gonna just be like, okay, so show me your process and what's this all about. They're doing an audit, and I was literally able to run the show at that point because I won the inspector over by the first impression. Everything was clean and presentable. I was well groomed. Everything was nice. All of my guys, they were well groomed. Everyone was just doing what they needed to do. And so that's what I did at my level. I was controlling what I could control, and I was driving the bus. I didn't just let the inspector go through anything that they wanted to go through. I would explain very eloquently exactly what we were doing. I would show this is that. I would explain our process. This is the reason why we do it. I would tag my team in. I'd be like, this is why so-and-so does this. So-and-so, can you explain why you do this? Blah, 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 blah. And all of those different things, it helped. That sense of organization and being assertive and knowing what I was talking about made it so that the inspector didn't even look to dig deep. They were just like, wow, I'm really impressed with your process, and it looks like you have everything under control. Okay, no discrepancies. Everything lovely. You have an answer for the different things that are out of compliance, and we can clearly see that although you don't have this up to date right now, we understand why it's not up to date, and we understand that this is the plan of action moving forward. You have everything taken care of. We are confident that this is a tight ship you're running. That's just controlling what I could control at my level. That was driving the bus at my level. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is your man, Sam Hay. We know that you're getting great value out of this content right here, and we want you to continue to have the latest and greatest updates. The best way you can do that is subscribing to this podcast. Do so now, and let's get back to this episode. Now, sometimes driving the bus means that you need to be solution oriented. Maybe you're facing some problems, and in order for things to flow in the direction that you want it to flow, you can't just leave it up to chance. You can't just leave it up to someone else who needs to assist you or that you want to assist you. You got to actually bring some solutions to them so that you can get their buy-in and get them to approve, right? A lot of times we face that. We're not in positions to make the final decision, but we are in positions to influence the decision. So for example, when I worked in construction, right? There were many times where we were working an aggressive schedule for this design build project, and the project, it was massive. There was so many different things that needed to happen in order for us to make the due date. And it was just a struggle overall, right? But all in all, while we were facing an aggressive schedule and while we needed approval in order to make certain changes that would benefit us in the building process, I knew that if we left it up to chance, if we said, hey, engineers, hey, architects, hey, fire marshal, we have this problem and we need you to help us solve it. If we'd have just left it blank like that and we just said, this is the problem, can you come up with a solution for us? They would have been like, well, sure, here's the solution. And it could have been something that was completely inconvenient for us, cost way more money than we wanted to pay, took way more time than we wanted to take, could have involved us like having to get extra materials and having to tear down certain things to rebuild a certain way. And we just didn't have that kind of time or money. And so it was like, we need to do something that actually suits our needs. How do you drive the bus in that situation? You bring solutions ahead of time that are going to work for you. So what I would do is I would coordinate with the different trades. I would say, hey, tradesmen, let's go on a walk. Let's do a meeting. We need to look at this issue. And I want to know, in your expertise, what would be the thing that you would do? What would suit you and your manpower? What would be most cost effective for you so that you're still making money and we're still making money? And most importantly, what will keep us on schedule as well in the most least complicated fashion? Those are questions that are driving the bus forward. The experts, they would then give me their answers. We'd be like, okay, we'd coordinate, and I would then present it to the powers that be. We would draft up what was called an RFI, a request for information, and we would say, hey, this is the problem in this area. This is what's going on. But this is our recommended solutions. Please confirm that it is acceptable to do this, that, and the third. This, that, and the third, and this, that, and the third. And obviously having the different evidence and having the architect come for a walk or different things like that, it would help us achieve what we were looking to achieve. All of those objectives, saving time and money and staying on schedule. All of those. Why? Because now we are doing the due diligence for the ultimate decision makers. We are doing the legwork for them. A lot of times you're going to get rejected, blown off, pushed to the side simply because the decision makers who you are relying on don't want to spend their time taking care of whatever it is you want taken care of. It's not their priority. So what do? You drive the bus. You make it their priority. And you make it their priority by understanding what it is that they're looking for. They don't want their time wasted and they want things to be made easy. Cool. Let me present the solution for you. And this is all the evidence that aligns with it. How does this sound? Sounds good to me. Approved. Now we get to move on to actually building exactly what we wanted to do and staying on schedule and saving money, and everybody gets to go home to their families all happy. That is the whole point of driving the bus. You want to bring solutions, not just problems, because if you allow someone else to bring a solution for you, it may not be the one that you want. So that is another way that you drive the bus forward at the level you're at, even if you're not in the position to make the final decision. That's really all I have for today. I told you several ways in which you can drive the bus no matter what level you're at, whether it's the psychological hacks, such as having a good first impression, making sure that you're well groomed, being clean, organized, things like that, or whether it's coming to problems with solutions already and getting people online, in line with it rather, in that way. It doesn't matter. There's a plethora of ways, but no matter what, it requires for you to ask yourself the question, what is my end goal? What is it that I'm looking to achieve? And how do I get there? And when you ask those questions, it will lead to more questions that are in alignment with those end goals, and it will lead to you taking the necessary actions that allow for you to influence situations in your favor. So that's the whole point of today's conversation. Drive the bus or get ran over. If you got great value out of it, share it with someone else and subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss any more of this good content. My name is Sam Hay, and until next time, Mindset Rebooted. Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right, and you still go with it, then that is on you.